Views expressed in the videos are my observation, analysis of events, persons based on principles of astrology. It's not my intent to predict, forecast absolute outcomes, only suggest how they may unfold. Nothing is set in stone. I could be wrong, but often I'm right. My desire is not to promote fear, only inform about what we see unfolding. It is our wish to prepare our subscribers for events that could affect them, their family, their goals, and their future, to help to prepare for what you may already suspect is happening, and to send a warning shot across the bow and raise a flag of concern. Our goal is to help, not hinder, in these perilous times, to inspire and offer possible direction, and to reveal that a greater plan and purpose are behind all that is happening. Eventually, we will see a brighter day. If you would like to show your appreciation for our work on these videos or this channel, and also the Knowing Whispers channel, you can always click on the word thanks at the bottom of all the videos. Hello everybody, it's Robert Cosmar, the Astrology of Life YouTube channel, and also the Substack newsletter, Knowing Whispers, Messages from the Universe, Trump and America, and Ask the Astrologer. Today I'm going to do a video that I believe I talked about it off and on maybe a couple of years ago, maybe longer than that. But I had a very strong impression the other night when I was watching TV about this. And as I've mentioned before, a lot of the times I do videos based upon a feeling that I'm supposed to be doing the video on something or someone. So this is where we are. And the title of this is going to be Trump and ALGOL, the Demon Star. All right. And I think a fascinating story that I'll share with you somewhere along the way in this video that will kind of bring to a point here what it is that I'm talking about in this video. Okay? Now, what you're looking at here is Donald Trump's natal horoscope, and you're looking at his aspectarian over here. Down below here, you can see that Eris squares his Mercury. Eris, as you remember, means strife and discord, and also opposing Neptune, strife and discord through deception. All right, and for those of you that know astrology, you understand that while you're looking at all this symbolism, that essentially you're talking about one life and how this life is going to function and how this life is going to behave, that type of thing. And of course, progressions and transits and things like that show the periods of time where events occur in the person's life that can determine whether or not they rise to a higher level or maybe they fall down. All right. Today's video has to do with this particular point. This is the fixed star ALGOL. Okay. And it is a very troublesome fixed star. Okay. I guess is the word that I would use at this point. It's about a degree off of his midheaven. Okay. And in the interpretation, the ancient interpretation, I believe Persian or Arabic and stuff, okay, the actual name ALGOL does mean demon itself. All right. And the reason why I feel compelled to talk about this right now is because maybe a few years ago, you know, when I'm talking about this, bringing this up, some may have thought that I'd lost my marbles. Others may have thought that I was going off on some kind of Christian binge or something like that. But I want to try to bring to you in this video the reality of something. Okay, something that you're seeing, but that you're probably perplexed about why this is. All right. So part of this video is about the fact of alternate realities and the fact that a lot of the things that have been recorded down through time, the Bible for an example and stuff, didn't have the benefit of years of psychological and spiritual knowledge to be able to convey to a modern public what these particular energies represent. All right. So we're going to talk about ALGOL, all right, in regards to Donald Trump. And the reason for that is that if you have wondered why it is that Donald Trump is able to accomplish what he is able to accomplish, why he does what he does, okay, you may find your answer in understanding the meaning of this fixed star ALGOL, okay, the demon star. I find it really bizarre when I see some of these grimaces of Donald Trump. You probably have noticed it when they show him in court. All right. It's almost like an indignation. It's almost like I'll get even. It's almost like, I hate that I'm going through this. I don't deserve this type of thing. All right. Vengeful, vindictive, hateful. All right. You could even take it one step and go to demonic if you wanted to do that. Now, to digress a little bit here, I'm going to tell you a story of an experience that I had, actually a series of experiences that I had years ago, probably in the 80s or maybe the late 70s, when I was a Pentecostal minister. And of course, being a Pentecostal minister and being in a particular, fundamental denomination like that, we took things like demons much more seriously than what most people would if you were a Catholic or a Presbyterian or Episcopalian. And at the time of this experience that I had, I was a Sunday school superintendent, and in the process of that, I would go over to a nursing facility and conduct a Sunday service with folks that were over there, either recovering from hospitalization of some kind or were aged, and like a nursing home, this type of thing. And the thing that was interesting about this one particular day that I had was that the night before, usually the night before, I'd prepare myself and I would get ready to decide what sermon was I going to offer to these people here in this main lobby. And it was a main lobby. It was a pretty good sized lobby of this big facility. And what would happen is that every Sunday, the people who would come down to that area there. There was a lot of seating, and they would sit down, all right, and they would smile, and some of them would maybe wave and say hi, that type of thing. I had a piano player to the right of me. And then across the wall, you had all of the people who were in wheelchairs that were lined up over there. And there may have been 6 to 8 that were over there. So anyhow, the title that I had gotten from somewhere at that time was Demons Are For Real. And all along, right up to the point of actually doing this particular sermon, I thought, this is really strange. Why am I talking about this to these individuals, older people like myself now? Why would I even want to talk about this? But I had such a strong inner conviction about talking about this that I went ahead and I went with it. Well, this is where the X-Files comes into play. I began to talk about this, and I don't remember exactly where I began, but I probably, worked off of a scripture, a biblical scripture. And I began to talk about this. And as I began to talk, normally the people would be focused on me and very attentive to what I was saying and giving me some feedback. But all of a sudden, it was like this energy just kind of swept through the entire auditorium, or the entire, place where I was conducting the service, lobby. All right. And the thing that really befuddled me was the fact that they all seemed to be ignoring me. And I couldn't understand why, but I could feel the detachment. I could feel and I could see it with my eyes that they were not really paying attention to me. They weren't concerned about what I was saying. And I found that to be very strange, but it didn't really stop me or make me freeze at that moment. But when I looked at the situation, I just thought to myself how odd it was. Well, at the moment that this happened, I also took a look over on the wall to the 6 to 8 individuals who were in wheelchairs. And the thing that struck me really quickly was that I was not looking into the warm and loving face of an elderly person in a wheelchair. I was looking at people that resembled gargoyles. And there was about 3 or 4 of them that had this gargoyle image. And they were laughing at me, not out loud, just grimacing, this type of thing. And if you can remember what gargoyles look like, you know, with the kind of elfish, evil, elfish heads, this type of thing, that's exactly what they looked like. And again, it didn't shake me up. It didn't really detract me from what I was doing and what I was saying, but it was like I was transported into a different dimension, or I was experiencing an unusual experience, psychic experience of clairvoyance, and I was able to see something, okay? And it went away towards the end of the particular service that I had conducted there. And I turned around to my piano player that I always did, and I thanked her for coming up and playing on the piano, which she did. And all of a sudden, I heard this voice behind me. And in a very bold, direct voice, it said, "Young man, I want to talk to you." And it's like it hit me in the back of the neck. Okay? Now, I have had psychic encounters at different times throughout my life, but this was a totally different ball game. And I walked over to the side there where the wheelchairs were. And I couldn't tell immediately who it was and where it was coming from, but I knew it was coming from there. And there was a woman, elderly woman in a wheelchair, right to the right of me as I was walking across the front of this lobby. And I just intuitively walked over to her, okay? And as I did that, she began to kind of get excited and ramble and say, you know, different things, incoherent types of things. And at some point, instinctively, I just went ahead and went down on one knee. I knelt down on one knee to get close to her so I could talk to her. And I said, "Who are you?" And the moment I said that, her eyes, her pupils just went wild. They went wide open. And she looked at me and she said, "You know who I am." And of course, you know, the chills went up and down my spine. And at that point, I had no idea where this was going to go, but I knew it was different. Okay. And that ended that particular experience. And it became an interesting experience talking to the pastor at the church that I belonged to at that time, because I told him about it later on. He kind of thought it was funny. And it was a strange situation for a couple of years during that time, back in I think the late 80s, maybe the late 70s, possibly. I had similar encounters with individuals that when you see them, when you encounter them, they do not give off the normal human warmth. They are very cold. As I mentioned, some of them manifest in different ways. Very, very bizarre type stuff. Another incident that I had was with my son and my wife at that time, and also her daughter. We were walking to visit some friends in Fort Smith, Arkansas. And as I was walking down the street, I had David in my arms, okay, and this woman had her back to us. And then as we got closer, all of a sudden she turned around as she realized there were people walking down the street. And I happened to just look up and keep my eye on her. And when I did, I immediately saw that same cold, empty, dark stare. And she wanted to hold David. She said, "Oh, let me," and I just pulled David close to me, and we walked on down the street, and my wife at the time didn't know why I did that, and I just said, "Keep walking. You don't want to know." Okay? So that was the second experience. And again, I'm saying this to you because whether you believe in the reality, maybe you have not had the experience, whether you feel that it's too primitive of an idea, whether you think it's bizarre, whether you think that you know, you have to be a little bit addled in the mind to accept these things. From my personal experience, okay, these dark energies do exist, and they do unfortunately have an impact upon the lives of some people. And relating this to what you're seeing here, okay, I haven't done a lot of research to see how many people have ALGOL conjunct their midheaven or any of their other planetary placements and stuff. But I do think it's significant because I got the urge to do this video to talk to you about the fact that this situation with Donald Trump by now, I think most people realize is not normal. And the influence that it's having is not normal. Okay? And I don't want to make this into some kind of a biblical thing, to where you try to equate this with Bible verses or Bible doctrine or the doctrine of other organizations. It's just that the universe is made up of both beings going into the light and beings who are descending into the darkness, and that some darkness is real dark, okay? And that maybe through thousands and thousands of lifetimes and stuff, some souls get entangled into these things. And they do it for two reasons. They do it to attain some level of power, but that power is for the purpose of control. And there's no logic to it. And again, this is why I'm bringing this to your attention. Don't look for logic in the circumstances as they unfold. All right? Don't look to logic to say, for example, oh, Donald Trump's convicted, he's a goner. Okay? Or don't say, logically, if Trump is convicted, he'll lose the election. Okay? You cannot go by the rule of logic and reasoning, by what you see happening, because this is something else. All right? This is something else. This is a major point in the evolution of humanity, to where some are being called consciously to raise their vibration, their conscious awareness. All right? And others, unfortunately, will choose to avoid that. And they'll fall in line with beings like this, okay, that are servants of the dark side, if you want to call it that, okay? And they're not something that we should be afraid of, okay? Because what you have within inside of you is stronger than them. But you cannot totally, completely ignore the fact that there is great conscious darkness and energy at times that exists in the world and that exists in the lives of some individuals. This world we live in is not as simple as you think it is. There are other things going on all the time that defy logic and reasoning. And it is for us to decide whether we allow ourselves to learn of these things or whether we close the door and say, I don't want to deal with that. And I understand why some people might not want to deal with that, because they don't understand themselves. They don't understand the universe in a way that they're convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that they have discovered the core truth about themselves in life. I understand that. But again, understand this, all right? Astrology is a mirror that reflects back to us the energy of who we are, of what we are. And in that chart is the karma, the fate, and the destiny of a soul born on June the 14th, 1946, 10:54 a.m. in Jamaica, New York. Okay? And he definitely is having an impact, at this point, a very dark, disturbing impact upon us all. And he has managed to whip up a pot full of fear. And that pot full of fear is unfortunately still growing. And we have to decide how we're going to deal with that. Okay, I hope that this particular video didn't freak you out, didn't scare you, and that the stories I talked to you about don't freak you out. Okay, they are something that I'm sure that some of you have experienced, whether you wanted to or not, and maybe you're consciously aware of these things as well. But again, I go back to this feeling that I have that this particular summer going into the fall and the election itself are going to be really otherworldly, unbelievably otherworldly. And it's why I encourage you, and my partner CJ encourages you to go within, connect with your guidance and your higher self. Okay? Stay out of the fear, stay out of the unexplainable stuff that goes on, because you cannot control. We cannot control what is going to happen. We can only decide to work with it. And change is what is going to happen. Okay? Whether we want to go back into the past, we can't hide from it. Okay. Keep in mind, as I've mentioned so many times in these videos, that CJ and I have over on Substack, the platform, newsletters. Mine is the newsletter I used to have on Facebook, Knowing Whispers Messages from the Universe, where I share my insights that my guidance gives me to share with others. Trump in America, where I talk about this influence, okay, and also Ask the Astrologer, where you can ask me questions if you want about astrology. CJ has two. One's called CJ's World and also CJ's Whispers of Awareness, where she shares her experiences regarding her guidance and the things that they're sharing with her to give to you. For those of you that are donators, for those of you that have contributed by donations, subscribers, and members, we want to thank you, as we always do, for your willingness to share and support the work that we're doing. It does help. We're not out here raking in millions of dollars, off of the videos or off of readings. It doesn't happen that way. So your support is appreciated, and we love the fact that you come back and return and share with us, either in comments in the community or by being a part. Possibly many of you are already over there on the Substack. One thing I will mention too is that CJ and I are thinking again about starting a group in Facebook, and the title of it might be Knowing Beyond Believing, where we specifically are going to be talking about various techniques, various insights into the nature of consciously evolving. All right, you might find that useful if you are having experiences in meditation and you're not quite certain of what's going on. Okay, so keep that in mind, and it's going to be a private group. It will not be a public group. It will be invitation only, and we want to draw in individuals that are aware and awake and that are concerned and interested in talking about things seriously that are happening, and not just, having a friendly type gathering. So keep that in mind. And then finally, I'll be letting you know here pretty soon what 2 Saturdays in June I'll be doing live streaming. And as I mentioned here a little bit ago, it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm still, like you, waiting to see what's going to happen in this situation with Trump and this trial. If it doesn't go the way that you would like it to go, understand that it's going the way that it's supposed to go, okay? And that there's a purpose for why it went that way. And, keep close to your inner guidance, your higher self, okay? Stay to your center. Try not to get wound up in all the frenzy and all the madness that's being generated, all right? Because the end result of that, whipping itself up like that's not good for any of us. Okay, again, thank you for watching, and my next video is probably going to be a little bit further examination and a deeper dig into the election day itself. There's some things that I've discovered in there that I want to come back and talk about, because they show the potential increase in intensity of the events of that day. All right, and I think you need to be aware of that. All right, from the love of my life, CJ, my spiritual partner, okay, love of my life, and sometimes, many times, my teacher, but my great companion. We thank you, and we hope that you will enjoy the weekend as it approaches. Bye-bye now.